Hello there, welcome to this week's mentoring, coaching, whatever you want to call it, this week's webinar. Got some great stuff for you this week, but first of all, I want you to just let me know that you can hear me. Let me know that I'm not talking to myself. So if you can just pop some stuff up in the chat box to let me know that you can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. I know there's a little bit of a delay between me speaking and you hearing what's going on. It looks like it's running at about almost 2 minutes at the moment. This is something to do with Google. It's nothing we can do anything about. So if you can hear me, just let me know. Put a yes or a thumbs up sign or whatever you want in the chat that let me know. Okay, yes, loud and clear, good. Okay, we've got the room starting to populate, but I want to talk to you this week about your dream, really, and how to achieve it, because most of us are living a dream. But unfortunately for most of us, it's not our own dream. It's somebody else's dream. So that's what I'm going to cover, and I've got a great gift for you as well today, which I'm going to give you at the end. It's a book that was written by what's his name? It's escaping me for a minute. Anyway, it's the 4-Hour Workweek. I'll think of his name later on. It'll come in the pop-up anyway. But it's the book, The 4-Hour Workweek. You can buy it on Amazon if you want the hard copy. I think it sells for about $29, $30, something like that. But I've got a download for you. Well worth the read. It's changed a lot of people's lives, and that'll be available to you towards the end of today's webinar. So that's what we've got. Okay, we've had a hectic week this week here in my office. We had one program that we were associated with, which has closed down. But when one door closes, another opens, and there's been an amazing program opened. If you've not seen it, I suggest you take a look at iPass 2. I'll just put in iPass 2. If you do a search for it, it'll come up on Google, but if you know somebody that's in the program, join under them, obviously. We've all got to eat, and it doesn't cost you any more or any less to join under somebody you know, but you're doing them a favor. If you are in the SAWP program, sawwp.com, if you go to resources, there's resources tab, which is the top of the left-hand menu. There's a link to iPass. Take a look at it. It may not be for you, it may be for you. I believe it is going to be the program that dominates the next couple of years online. It's taken them about 4 years to build this. Lots of cash, lots of man hours. It's incredible. If you get inside there, it's very slick and smooth running. When I say slick, I don't mean hypey, and I don't mean it in the bad ways. I mean, it really works very, very well, and it converts sales very, very well. It's, as I say, it's well worth taking a look at. I believe, as I say, over the next 2 years, it is going to totally dominate internet marketing and home business. There is nothing like it. There's never been anything like it before. And for somebody to replicate it, there will be people who try. I think they're going to find it very difficult because it's not just been thrown together. They can't just throw a website up. There's massive amounts of programming and testing and all sorts of things. So anybody that wants to replicate, if they start now, it's going to take them probably 12 months before they can go live. So most people just haven't got the time and resources to put into something like that. So it's really good. It's going to be around for a long time. So what I want to do, as I say, I want to run through this presentation. If you've been to my blog, you'll probably have seen this presentation before, but I'm going to just perhaps run through it in slightly different terms than there on the blog, and I'm going to finish up after I've run through this with six things that cause people to fail, and they're mistakes that people make, and if I get time, I'll go into them in a bit more depth, and if I don't get time, we'll cover them a bit more in a future webinar. But okay, I think we've had enough time. We have got a poor turnout, but the people that are here will benefit. As I say, great download for you, the 4-day work week. You may have read it. If you haven't read it, it's well worth a read. So let's get started. I will get to the right page. Here we go. Success Lifestyles is my blog. It's success-lifestyles.com. If you want to go there, there's lots of information on there. There's loads of blog posts, although there haven't been many for the past 6 or 8 months because I've been busy doing other things, quite frankly. But I will get back to posting once a day, hopefully in the near future. But Success Lifestyles and your dream, you know, think about it. Are you truly free to enjoy your life in every way? Success has personal meanings for everybody. It can be different for everybody, but there are lots of common ground in there. And people often ask me, when are you going to retire? Most of the people that are still alive that I went to school with, a lot of them are dead, are retired. Doesn't mean they're happy, but they are retired. And they ask me, when do if I bump into them, you know, when are you going to retire? Are you still doing it? Retirement is something that people look forward to if they don't like the job, and they dread if they love it. It's something that is forced upon people rather than people, generally speaking, plan for. If you have planned for it and you've retired, that's great. But why should I retire? I do what I love doing every day, every hour of every day. I wouldn't want to change that. So for me, retirement would mean giving up things I love doing. And that just wouldn't make sense. People say, well, you'd be able to do what you want, when you want, why you want. Well, I've been doing that for the past 40 years, and I don't intend to stop now. So that's what I mean about the difference that people's views, you know. Retirement for most people is an escape. You shouldn't have to escape your life. Life is for living. Having a success lifestyle, I believe, is being able to do what you want to do, when you want, why you want, and with whoever you want. Okay? And as I say, I've had that lifestyle for many years, probably not 40 years, but it wasn't always that way, and that's why I say not 40 years, because I'm not going to give you a rags to riches story. I'm not going to say I was in the gutters and broke and had no money, and because that wouldn't be true. What I'm going to tell you is about how I came to break through, about how I came to change from being a high income earner, which I was, to a person pursuing a happy, successful lifestyle. I was brought up in a working class home in England, in Manchester. Went to grammar school and then on to college. And I was a pretty bright student. I didn't have any trouble passing exams. And at the age of 18, I got a job and I was earning as much as my father. By the age of 20, I was making at least twice his wages. So, as I say, this isn't a rags to riches story, even though I came from a background where in the home we were never lacking. We always had food on the table and we always had clothes to wear and we always had heat, largely due to my mother's endeavour. My father was a dreamer and also a bit of a waster. But combined together, they were a great team. My mother was a hard worker and a saver and a grafter. And they created a good balance in life and gave us a happy home life. It wasn't extravagant, but it was comfortable. By the age of 25, I was living in Bermuda. I had a fantastic salary. It was tax-free, but I wasn't happy. You see, I was living somebody else's dream, not mine. I was living society's dream, not mine. In fact, let me go back there because that's probably not true either. I was living my mother's dream rather than mine. You see, she'd always wanted me to get educated and qualified and get a good job with good holidays, good pay, all this sort of thing. And that's what a lot of parents dream about for their kids, because they come from a background where they've had to scrimp and scrave and struggle. And so that's what kids do. They go through and they try and please their parents. And so that's what I did. It's a natural thing. But what I see most people that go through this is they have a big mortgage so that they can live in a big house, and they get into debt because they want to drive a flashy car or a big car. They save all year round to go on dream vacation to escape the reality of their life just for a few weeks. And they work. Often, the more they make, the more hours they spend working or thinking about work, and they never have time to spend to do the little things that should mean so much, spending time with the children or with the spouse or just generally enjoying life. Now, it's not your fault that you're probably living someone else's dream. It's the way the system works. Nobody, or most of the people that you're in contact with, don't understand what it takes to be successful and to have a success lifestyle. So they teach you what they think would be best for you. And they're happy when you reach their dream. It doesn't matter if you're happy or not. They think that that is what you want. Anyway, to go back to my story, I left my job in Bermuda because, as I say, I wasn't happy with it. I thought, what am I going to do? And I went bumming around, heading overland from New York. I was heading towards Buenos Aires, where I had a friend that was working there as a teacher. But on the way through Guatemala, something happened. I met the love of my life. We were married within 7 days of being together. So I had a change of plans. I thought, well, I'd better take my wife back to England to show the family that I've got a wife. I mean, they'd not heard from me much, and they had no idea. They knew I was off traveling somewhere in Central or South America. So that's what I did. I arrived home with a wife. She didn't speak English, and my Spanish was really poor. It's a great basis for a marriage. You can't have an argument. And I didn't want to work in an office again. And I was, as I say, I was successful. I made lots of money, but I just didn't enjoy it. And so I tried lots of different things. I had to go at being a fireman, a turkey farmer. I did all sorts of different jobs. And eventually I got a job knocking on doors selling insurance. And I was making pretty good money, and I was quite enjoying it as well, because I felt I was helping people. And I was making 2 or 3 times what the average wage was at that time. But I was working evenings. I was starting work at about 5 o'clock in the evening, and sometimes I wouldn't get home till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So I saw a job advertised with a company called Xerox, and through their training and the docs and things I'd had, and I managed to once again get a tremendous job, but this time I was making something like 10 times the average wage at the time, plus a car and expenses and everything, and it was like having monopoly money. It was just all there by the handful. Now, making big money is fine, and it's good, and you're happy with it for a while, but it does carry high stress levels. So my wife and I talked about this, and we looked for something different, and we decided that we would work for ourselves. So we started in business. We bought a small pet shop, and we expanded that until we had several shops and a manufacturing organization and wholesaling. And then I actually gave that business away. I just got fed up with it. I wasn't really happy in that either. And I started a business in catering. I had sandwich bars and restaurants and this sort of thing. And I was making great money, but I was working long hours and 7 days a week. And we just used to dream of closing for about 10 days over Christmas so we could take a vacation, get away from it. And then what happened was my best friend's brother-in-law, who I also knew, and he was also a friend of mine, was walking, doing the Cross Britain walk with his son. And he just dropped dead of a heart attack. And it came as a shock. He was about my age at the time, which wasn't very old. It was, I can't remember exactly how old I was at that time, probably in my very early 30s. And I thought, you know, this is not what I want. I mean, life is short. You've got to live life because you never know what's going to happen. And I felt there had to be something different. There had to be a better way. And I started reading personal development books. I became a fan of Tony Robbins, who was starting out at that time, really. Vincent Peale, Zig Ziglar, Stephen Covey, Deepak Chopra, lots of names that you'll probably know. I started to study how the mind works. I became a Silver Mind Method graduate and a master hypnotist and a certified hypnotherapist. And it was all to just try and learn how I could change things. And because of all this influence, we just gave up our business and we retired. And we didn't have a fortune to live on, but we walked the local hills on a daily basis. We moved to a home near Rochdale in the Pennines, and we'd walk around the hills, and in the morning I'd watch the traffic driving into Manchester in the rush hour, and people just, and you know, I was just so grateful that I wasn't in one of those cars going to that daily grind. I'll say we didn't have a big house, we didn't have a flash car, but we were happy. We didn't dream of a vacation because life was a big vacation for us. We just found that we had all the time in the world to do whatever we want. And we started a new business, and we found that it only took us a few hours a week to make all we needed. We weren't, as I say, making a fortune, but we were covering our bills. And we had the freedom to travel and do as we want. And so we said, okay, this is okay. Let's go and live in the United States. My wife had family there. So we moved to the USA. and we lived in California and then Utah, and we started several businesses there. Some of them conventional businesses, what people call conventional anyway, brick and mortar. There was wholesaling and importing and janitorial service company, car valet company. We started some online businesses. I set up a business where we had products manufactured based on aloe vera, and set that up in a multi-level system, and we did lots of things, but it was always with the emphasis on enjoying what we were doing. And after being in the States for, I don't know, it was probably about 10 or 12, 15 years, I can't remember offhand, we moved to Ireland, and then we went on to Italy for a couple of years, and we came back to the UK, and we lived in North Devon for a while, and then we came to Lincolnshire, which is where we are currently, although we do have homes in the United States. We did have a home in Italy, but that's been sold probably about 12 months ago now. And we may move back to Utah or California or Hawaii or New Zealand or Bali or wherever. I'm actually looking at France at the moment. You see, we have the freedom to choose and just go wherever we decide to go. Now, I know that many of you watching this are saying, oh, well, that's okay because you'd made this money or you had this business, but it's something that's available for everybody. Now, I know that you're watching and you have different difficulties, different challenges. You have financial obligations and debts, and you may have children that are in schools and this sort of thing. But essentially, the bottom line is that you probably need cash, because to be able to live your dreams the way you want, you need to have a source of income. And you want a source of income that gives you the lifestyle that you want and you dream of, and not the nightmare that most people seem to be in. And I say most people because I've come across lots and lots of people, and I've been fortunate in helping a lot of them change their lifestyle from that nightmare to something where they feel truly successful. I don't know what your motivation is while you're watching this. I don't know whether it's because you have got a job with plenty of cash coming in, but you don't have the time to enjoy it. You don't have the freedom. There's not enough fun in your life. And if that's the case, maybe that's even affecting your health, because stress is one of the biggest causes of ill health that there are. And I tell you that I know a lot of wealthy people who are not truly happy. And I know a lot of people that aren't particularly wealthy that are not truly happy as well. It's all about changing the way that you see things, because there is a better way. There is a way where you can have all you ever dreamed of. And I'm not talking about just enough cash to pay the bills, or enough cash to pay off all your debts, or to have a big home or a new car, or travel when and where you please. But there is a way that you can have all this, where you can have much, much more than that, where you can actually live the dream. You can have the total freedom and the fun of a success lifestyle and live your own dream, not somebody else's. But you know what happens is we get influenced by things. And I was told a story about the devil's greatest tool once, and I find that this is so true in so many cases. And it was about this ace reporter. He was widely acknowledged as being the best reporter ever. And because of this, he was approached by the devil. And the devil said to him, you know, you're the best reporter that there's ever been. And I'd like you to write my story. I'd like you to tell people about me and the power I have. And and everything I can do. And the reporter said, well, I'm not sure I'm interested in doing that. He said, look, I'm going to take you down. I'm going to show you all my powerful weapons and things. So the reporter, oh, okay, I'll take a look at it. And the devil took him down, and he went into one room, and he said, look at this. This is a room full of guns and weapons and things. And the reporter, oh, we all know about those. That's nothing new. And he opened the door to the next room, and he said, look at this then. We've got weapons of mass destruction, we've got nerve gas, we've got nuclear weapons, we've got things that can actually destroy this whole world here. And the reporter said, oh, we know all about all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to write about that. You can find somebody else to hack your stories about this sort of thing. And so the devil said, look, I'm going to take you somewhere that I don't show anybody else. And he went into a room, and there was a pedestal. And on that pedestal, there was a wedge. And the reporter looked around the room, and he said, well, what's all this about? And the devil said, this is what I use more than anything. And this can destroy lives, break up relationships, kill dreams. The reporter said, well, what is it? And he said, well, this represents the wedge of doubt. He said, once I just get that tiny little end into somebody's mind, it grows and grows, and it goes in deeper and deeper until it splits that mind wide open. And it kills ambition, it kills dreams, it kills everything that that person has been looking for. And the reporter said, that is what I'm going to write about. And that was the devil's greatest tool, the wedge of doubt. And I see this in so many people's lives. They doubt everything. So don't let doubt stop you. You've got to believe. Doubt will stop you from living your dream. Don't let it stop you. Live your dream, not society's. Not the people next door, the Joneses. You don't have to keep up with the Joneses. Not your parents, even though they had good faith when they planted their dream on you. Not your teachers at school. They're not living their dream. They're just struggling through life the same way that most people are. Live your dream. There is risk. There is risk in it. I say here that there's no risk. There's no failure. There's only achievement, freedom, and fun. But there is risk if you don't believe in yourself, and if you allow that wedge of doubt to creep into your life, if you allow that fine point of doubt to get in, it will work its way in. I think there's a story in the Bible, I can't remember where it is, about Jesus saying something to people about, when you come in from walking the street, wash your feet. Make sure that you get all the sand out, because a grain of sand can start irritating, and it can get into your foot and cause a sore, and that can fester and become great. And this is the same thing. He was warning about this wedge of doubt. Don't allow doubt into your life. Clear it out of your mind. Clear it out of every contact that you come into, because people will thrust their doubt upon you if you allow them. But when I talk about no risk, what I'm meaning is there's no need to burn your bridges. You can change your life working part-time, risk-free, without affecting your current income or your commitments, until you're making enough to cover your costs, until it becomes all that you need. And if you do things in the right way with the right mentor, and make sure that you don't allow that grey sand, don't allow that wedge of doubt to start getting into you. it can soon become a greater income than you've ever had before. And you can do it all with 2 or 3 hours a day spent on your personal development, which is always so important, and your business. It can change your life and the lives of those that you love for better forever. You can't change other people. You can only change yourself. But when you make changes to yourself, it creates that chain reaction, as commented on here by Leon Brown. And so you have a ripple effect, like throwing a brick into a pond. The ripples start to spread. You change your life. You'll change the lives of the people you come into contact with. You'll change more people's lives than you know. You'll change people's lives that you don't even know at this time. And when you start to see it, you'll shiver with excitement, and that'll become your driving force. It won't be the cash, because once you've got the cash, what keeps people going? What keeps them motivated? There are people that are still doing this that have got all the cash they'll ever need for all the time, even if they live to be 1,000 years old. Why? Because of this excitement they get from being able to help other people change their lives. So I want you to make a note today. Make a mental note that you're going to make this breakthrough, that you're going to follow your dream. And if you need help, I'll help you get started. You'll need to just spend a few hours a day on routine tasks. That's all it takes. Just commitment to spend a few hours a day, every day, on routine tasks. And an income of $250,000 a year is well within your reach, and it can be reached within 12 months. But if you never chase your dreams, you'll never catch them. I want you to get off that treadmill. While you're chasing money, it'll run away from you, just like a naughty puppy. Naughty puppy training is one that I've done on many occasions. You chase a puppy and he'll run away. He thinks it's a game, yeah. But you start to move away from the puppy and he'll run after you. And money is the same. You stop chasing money and it'll start to chase you. You'll be able to join others who are enjoying the freedom and the fun of a true success lifestyle. But don't let that wedge of doubt stop you from making your own personal breakthrough. Don't let it cause you to procrastinate. Don't allow anything to stand in your way. Join me and many others that I've helped, and many that I know that I've had nothing to do with. Many that have helped me, who are already living our dreams. We're already motivated by the shiver of changing people's lives, not by the money. Make your breakthrough now, because you have the ability to do that within you. I believe in you. And that is achievable for you. So, what I want to talk about now is, okay, you say, how can I do this in 2 or 3 hours a week? There are lots of business opportunities out there. Most of them are designed for the creator to become wealthy. There's nothing wrong with that, provided it's a good opportunity. The opportunity is built to generate income for whoever created it, or the company, or whatever. And as I say, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with business. There's nothing wrong with building a business. There's nothing wrong with setting up a business that will do that. But there's a unique business, and I'll put this there's a unique business at SAWP.com, SAWWP.com, Sharing Abundance Worldwide with Passion.com. And that incorporates the Simple FastCast program. And in that site, you can join free and register free. There is masses of free training that'll help you get started. We had a program that was a turnkey program where people could generate income on autopilot that would pay all the marketing expenses, so they could concentrate on learning how to be successful without the stress and strains of having to think of where the cash was coming from. Now, unfortunately, the company that we were associated with that was providing the funds through a very honourable plan they had of co-op advertising had difficulties forced upon them by their success, strangely enough. They were generating so much cash that the merchant accounts that they were putting the cash through had never seen it, and they couldn't understand it, and they were holding back vast sums of money which were not allowing them to make disbursements that they promised. And so it became no longer viable for them to continue, and so they had to discontinue that program. The company is still there, and they still have other programs, and they will be starting new programs. But that took away the income, the sort of generated income that was covering the marketing costs for our turnkey program. What I am doing now is I'm putting together another program, and things always happen for the good. If you believe that and you look for the good, and you look for the good in things, we live in a world of duality. There's good and bad in everything. And it's in human nature for most people to see the bad and to get depressed, and something happens and they see the bad side of it and they say, oh, you know, why does this always happen to me? What's going on? They never say, okay, what is the positive in this? Because if there's bad, there's got to be a good. If you look for it, you'll find it. So what I see as being the positive in this is we can now set up something similar, but not as dependent on something that is not able to be forecasted, if you like. Because if you're partaking in advertising co-ops and sharing in the profits, you never know how much those profits are going to be. Business is like that. That's what business is. There are always risks. Usually, the higher the risk, the greater the potential returns, but also greater the potential losses. But we now have an opportunity, and I'm working on something now. I'm putting it together where we can operate a similar plan for a similar cost that I believe will produce even greater benefits for the members of the plan. And that will be available soon. And if you're a member of SAWP, you'll be amongst the first to hear about it in the next couple of weeks, probably, hopefully. Meanwhile, as I say, one door closes, another opens. iPass 2 is a very, very good opportunity. It's not guaranteed to make you money, but it is a very sound principle, and it converts better than anything I've ever seen online. I've been online for over 15 years. I started online in 1998. And I've never seen anything convert as well as the iPass system converts. When we talk about convert, we're talking about generating sales, because without sales, you have no business, you have no money. So that's what I'm working on at present. And it's all coming together, and it should be available, as I say, hopefully within a couple of weeks. And if you're a member of SAWP, you'll be amongst the first to hear about that. So what I want to do now is to say, okay, SOAP is a great program, and that was not put together to make the originator rich. The originator is already as rich as he wants to be. I've got everything that I need cash-wise. It was put together to help you and people like you. Regardless of how much you pay into the SOAP program, everything goes on commissions apart from $2. So if you're at you can start up as a paid member for $7 and it pays commissions of $5. If you're at the highest level in the SOAP program, which is $157, it pays out commissions for $155. Why is there a $2 deduction? Very simply, because we have to process funds through banks or processors or people that collect the money for us, whatever. Whatever system we use, those people are in business and they want their cut out of it. And the charges can be as high as $1.98 on a $7 payment. So if we were to pay $7, we'd be losing money and we would go out of business. It wouldn't be sustainable. So that's the main reason that the $2 exists. It's there to make sure we cover the costs. Now, sometimes the costs can be as low as about 47 cents, something like that. In fact, there might even be only 40. No, I don't think you can get it for 45 now, but anyway, 40 something cents, under 50 cents. Sometimes they're 1.98, sometimes they're in the middle and all over the place. So we average out currently at about $1.30 in fees that we have to pay. It leaves us with 70 cents. And we use 50 cents of that, which we donate to charity. We don't donate the whole 70 cents because we want to make a regular donation of what we can afford. And if it drops down, then, and it went to 40, then we'd be 71, 140. So anything between the difference of the 50 cents and the 70 cents, 20 cents, goes towards admin instead of me paying it out of my pocket. It covers a small fraction of it. Just hosting on a dedicated server, which we have, starts at probably $300, and if you've upgraded your systems and you've got all sorts of anti-hacking software in there and all sorts of other things and people monitoring your system, you know, you're looking at thousands of dollars a month just to run the server. So there are lots of costs involved, but they're not passed on to the members. You pay your fees through the system, through the Simple Fast Cash system, which is run by SOAP, and most of it is paid out instantly in commissions. It's immediately credited to somebody's account. We don't have the money. We don't offer any refunds for that reason. We don't have any money to make refunds with, and our terms say that there are no refunds. So if you don't want the products and the benefits that we offer, don't join. It's as simple as that, because you can join free and have a look around and see what there is in just the free members area, and the benefits increase at every level, and we're going to be stepping up the differences there. I've just been looking at a way. We started this project on on getting a Facebook group poster, probably 12 months ago, and we had it almost done, and Facebook changed the rules and things, and but I've been looking at a way to provide that, and we'll probably be putting that in probably at about level 3 in the very near future. We'll also be adding in a way that you can post automatically to things like My Back Pages or Craigslist, this sort of thing. We offer hosting, we offer autoresponder. You can get all this for $7. And as I say, $5 of that goes straight out to whoever brought you into the business. most of the difference goes out to the payment processors. So it's all there. It's a great plan. You can make a lot of money with it, and it was designed to help you make money, not to help me make money. In fact, it costs me money to run. I'm hoping that one day when we get sufficient members in, just that tiny 20 cents will cover the costs. But we need an awful lot of members before I stop dipping into my wallet. So that's what the Simple Fast Cash program in SOAP is about. And if you're in that, you will learn very soon about the new Turnkey Cash program that we'll be putting together to get everybody started. So that's what's happening with SOAP. We've got about 15 minutes left. Any questions? I'm keeping my eye on the chat section, so if you've got any questions, by all means, whack them in. I want you to understand as well, because I've had this from a couple of people recently. If you're in business, let's suppose you bought a McDonald's franchise and you paid $1 million for it, which is about the average for a McDonald's franchise. And McDonald's would expect you to make between $200,000 and $300,000 a year from that franchise after all costs, without you being involved. If you paid a manager to run it for you and everything, you put up the $1 million, you organised it, set it all up, and you weren't actively involved, you should be able to walk away from that franchise with between $200,000 and $300,000 a year. So at the end of a year, if you've made $200,000 or $300,000 and you put in $1 million, have you made a loss? Because that's what I see people talking to me about. Oh, I spent $100 on solo ads and I only made $3 in sales. Well, I mean, the figures are just off the top. I mean, they could have spent $1,000 and made nothing, or whatever. That's not a loss. You're investing in your business. Okay, it's out of your cash flow. If you bought a McDonald's franchise for $1 million and you had 200, 300,000 back, you've got a negative cash flow in that year of 700,000. But it's a business. You're investing in your business. You're investing and learning, and you're tweaking, and you're learning how to make that $300,000 a year into $400,000, $500,000 a year with your franchise. And that's the same with your business. I see people, they do Facebook ads, and they do it for 2 weeks, and it costs them $50, and they get, even if they get $51 back, they say, oh, this isn't working. I want the internet lifestyle of $1,000. You know, you've got to start at the bottom and climb up. And the chances are, when you start putting in Facebook ads or Google ads or whatever you're doing, solo ads, whatever it is, you're not going to be good at it. And you're going to be investing in your business, investing in your knowledge of the business, learning. And through that learning curve, you'll go along, and gradually it'll go up. And then you'll hit a point where it'll go like that. And that's what you need to understand. You're investing in a business and you're investing in yourself. You're not talking about, oh, I spent $50 on this and I've not made any money, so I've lost $50. That's not the way you look at it. You look at it as, okay, I might have a negative cash flow of that, but you've got to be prepared to put in money on a regular basis. I get people asking me, how can I do this with no investment? And there are ways, but you're not going to make very much money and you're not going to do it very quickly. And I don't know anybody that's a top earner that started free. Free doesn't work in most cases. I don't know anyone that's made a lot of money free. Okay? So you've got to start to think about how much you're going to put into your business and into yourself and into your learning. And I want to just talk about those let's see, I've got them up on a screen, I think. We've got a few minutes to go through it. I don't see any questions. Do you recommend to join iPass now or wait for the SOAP system? iPass is not connected with the new SOAP system, but I'm in it now because I couldn't resist it. And I've hardly promoted it, and I've made a healthy profit, and it's not been going a week. Okay. I think iPass, you should get in now, and you should tell everybody that you're in it, and tell them that if they want to join iPass, to join it under you. This is something. Before I go to this screen share, I want you to understand something. You're going to talk to people, whether you know them or you don't know them. Most people are not approachable about a business opportunity most of the year. Throughout the year, there'll probably be 2, 3, maybe 4 occasions where they're in this mindset where they think, I've got to make a change, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And you never know when that is. So you've just got to keep in touch with people and say, look, don't know whether you're interested in this or not. If you're not, pass it on to somebody else, but keep it in mind. If you do decide like to change, I'm here and I'll tell you how I'm getting on with it. And I'll just jog your memory on it 2 or 3 times a year so that we don't lose contact. Is that fair enough? Now, most people are happy with that. There's no pressure on them. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to commit to anything. And if you do keep in touch with them 2, 3, 4 times a year, every 2, I would suggest about every 2 months, you just drop them a line saying, hope things are going well for you. They're going really well for me with this. I made X amount last month, and that was a percentage increase of so much over last month, and this is happening on a regular basis. So if you know anybody that is looking at making a bit of extra cash for a few hours, pass it on to them if you're still not interested. Most people are happy with that. They're okay with that, okay? But I've seen so many occasions. I've been in the home business industry I got involved in the 80s, so 35 or 40 years, I suppose. And everybody laughed at me like they'll laugh at you when I started. I've seen so many people that join, and in those days we used to have meetings where people, you'd have a meeting in a hotel or whatever, and you'd get people along and get their prospects along, and you'd be able to talk to everybody and put a presentation on. Nowadays it's all done online. But in those days, as I say, we had these meetings, and they were nice. It was social. You'd talk to people, and you'd have a few drinks afterwards. And I saw so many people that the jaw drop. They point. I say, what's the matter? That's my best friend from school. What's he doing here? Somebody else had invited them. They may join, they may not, but somebody else invited them. If they did join, that person had lost a sale because they didn't make the contact and keep the contact. If you're not in iPass now, and I reckon there's going to be over 1 million people in iPass within probably 12 to 18 months. You're either going to be in their downline or they're going to be in yours. Join it now. It's pretty low cost and it converts well. It's very easy to cover your costs. So I would, you might not like it. If you don't like it, fair enough. At least you know about it. But I think even the people that don't like it now, for whatever reason, a lot of those are going to change their mind as time goes on because they're going to see so many people making so much money from that system. Okay, we've only got 5 minutes now, so let me see if I can spot that that screen share I got. Here we go. I think, yeah, that's it. And these are mistakes that I see people making when they are in business for themselves, online or offline. And this is all about really rapport. See, people don't understand about rapport. They think rapport is telling somebody they had a boiled egg for breakfast and you had cornflakes. Okay, so we're talking on a, that's not rapport. So these really are all about rapport. And the first thing is people try to be too nice to people. Now, there's nothing wrong with being nice to people, but it can be a problem because sometimes people are being nice at the expense of what they should really be saying, and then rapport is going to break down. You've probably seen that if you think back to your school days, there were some teachers there that wanted to be popular with the kids, so they let them get away with things, and bit by bit the teacher lost respect, and then the pupils stopped paying any attention to them, and in fact would tease them and torment them. So you've got to walk the right line. You've got to be nice to people. You should always try and be nice to people, but only to the extent that it's not interfering with the process of you communicating your feelings and ideas with that other person. Okay, so bear that in mind. The second one I've got up there is trying too hard. And this is what I see so many people doing that is really, really bad. They're desperate, and they come across as desperate. And so you'll get the law of reversed effect coming in rather than the law of attraction. The law of reversed effect states something along the lines of the harder you try to do something, the more likely it is you'll fail. You've got to put in effort and you've got to understand about things, but you've just got to relax and know that what you have to offer is something that they need, and it's not the fact that they have the money that you need. Do you see the difference in those two things? You have control when you know that you have what they need, but they have control if you're coming across as you need their money and they've got the money. Okay, so that's mistake number 2. Now, mistake number 3 is very similar, really. It's being pushy. It's moving too fast. And if you start moving too fast and start getting pushy, people will back away from you. Once again, it's this puppy training I do where I talk about how to train a puppy, and if you have him loose in a field and you want to go home and you run after him to catch him, he'll run away from you. You've got to be able to back away and move away and say, look, I have this. When you're ready for it, you've got to be able to back off and build more rapport. Avoid being seen as needy, and you'll find that you're building rapport very quickly. And number 4 is one that I see in a lot of people as well. Lack of genuine interest. They'll talk to people, they'll ask them questions, and even if they are listening, their expression says, oh, I'm bored with you, really not interested in all this stuff that you're laying on me. I just really don't want to know this. And you're trying to get in your next point. When the other person senses that, they're going to shut down or start getting annoyed, or they'll see that you're losing interest in the conversation. So the solution to that one is pretty straightforward. You've just got to have a high unconditional respect for the other person. And I think that's probably a good way to view everybody anyway. Mistake number 5 I popped down there is playing the wrong role in a relationship. There's always status in any relationship. Usually one person is higher than the other, so one person has a higher status, one person has a lower status. Sometimes there'll be equal status. When I talk about status, I'm not talking about a value judgment. It's just the role that's being played in this scenario where you're building rapport. For example, a teacher needs to, going back to this teacher-student example, a teacher needs to have a higher status in order to be able to teach effectively. And you perhaps can understand that maybe your circumstances or your status will need to change depending on circumstances. If you are inflexible, then you can only relate to someone in a particular status. So you've got to be flexible in your communication. And sometimes you might need to play the underdog. Sometimes you may need to say, look, I know that you have got far more experience than me in this thing, and that's one of the reasons why I'm talking to you, because I've come across this and I find that it is extremely useful and I'd like your views on it. Okay, something along those lines. But you've got to be able to judge the situation and come from the right standpoint, and usually that is a point of certainly not need, a point of abundance. I have all this, now you're missing this in your life. I know you're a terrifically successful guy, you make $10 million a year, but how much spare time do you have? Because, you know, I'm happy to trade the fact that I only make $500,000 a year to be able to spend the time however I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. Okay, you've got to pick the status, and the final one was the difference between deep rapport and wide rapport. Deep rapport comes from sharing an experience with somebody, and that's very, very powerful. That's where somebody says, I've been trying to make money online for 5 years and I've not made a cent yet. And you say, I know how you feel. I felt exactly the same way as you because I was in exactly the same situation as you. That's building deep rapport. Okay? Wide rapport is when you see the other person outside of a situation, and that can sometimes be difficult for you if you don't involve this wide rapport course of action. And one way you can get wider rapport is to use stories about things, stories about similar situations, even if you're not personally involved in them. That way the other person gets a sense of your entire personality and he gets comfortable with you in a range of different circumstances. You've got to be able to say, okay, I can't associate directly with you because I've never been in that situation, but I was talking with one of my students and this was what he said to me and I took that on board and this is what we did. Okay, you've got to be able to embrace that wider rapport. So those points are up there on the screen, and they're just the headings. But those are things that you really need to be looking at in your business and how you associate and relate to people. So just to go over those in case you can't read them. The first mistake is trying to be too nice to people. The second is that of trying too hard. The third is wanting something from someone too much. You're being too pushy, basically. Number 4 is a biggie. It's a lack of genuine interest. If you're not interested in somebody, don't talk to them. Go and talk to somebody you are interested in, because it'll come across and you'll get nowhere anyway. You're wasting your time, you're wasting theirs. Treat people with respect. Number 5, make sure, where possible, that you have the upper status in a relationship. But if you don't, learn how to change that into, don't fight it, just learn how to turn it to your advantage. And then the difference between deep rapport and wide rapport, where you can establish deep rapport, where you do have something totally in common, that's great. So there we go. Have we got any questions? Because we're about 7 minutes over time now. It doesn't bother me. If you've got questions and you want to ask me questions, I'm happy to stay here all night to answer them. But meanwhile, I am going to display this amazing book, The 4-Hour Week. It was written by Timothy Ferriss, that's the name of the guy. I hadn't remembered it, but I hadn't thought about it actually since I talked about it at the beginning. It's a very good book. Read it. You should be spending at least an hour, and I recommend 2 hours, on your personal development every day. 30 minutes reading, 30 minutes listening to something or on personal development, an audio or watching a video is the same. And you want to be spending probably at least half an hour a day in meditation and being grateful for everything that you've got. And I see that let's get rid of the screen share again. Here we go. And probably it's going to take you, what, another 20 minutes, half an hour to write down about 15 times. I can't remember how many times now. I do it. It fills a page, A4 page. I think it's 20 times I write down 2 lines about my goals and my affirmations. So you're looking at a couple of hours every day just on that. And break meditation into 2 sessions is good. You can do 15 minutes in the morning if you've only got half an hour, and 15 minutes in the evening. Because to actually make money, once you've got your mind right, once you've got your head right, once you've got to a state where there is absolutely no room for that wedge of doubt to get in, no little tiny speck of sand can get in there, you will find that you will start attracting cash, and you will, to actually run your business, an online business, doesn't take very long in practical terms. You'll be placing a few ads, checking how much you've made, looking at headlines, doing a bit of tweaking, perhaps doing a little bit of learning on some particular topic that you're interested in, because you've got to learn each time. Focus on one thing at a time. If you focusing on traffic, don't try and do everything. Pick one method, focus on it, learn everything you can about it until you got it off pat. And if I was to give you one to focus on, it would be on using other people's lists. That is the fastest, most effective way, and that is the way that I think everybody I know that's made it big online has started out. They've used other people's lists, and they've once they've got that and they've built and they've got an income coming in and they've built their own list through that method, then they've said, okay, they don't discard that, they keep that going, but they start moving into other things like maybe pay-per-view or pay-per-click or whatever. So, but as I say, I can't think of anybody that I know online that makes a lot of money that doesn't use other people's lists. There's ways that you can outsource that as well. You can go to people like Dagan Smith and buy leads off him that are other people's lists. I mean, I sell them as well. Dagan's, I think you'll probably pay, I don't know, between $1.25 and $2 a lead. If you're in SOAP, there is a tier 1 traffic club. You can get them for less than that. They're not his leads, but they convert well if you run a good system on them, because you've not only got to learn how to get them, you've got to learn how to treat them once they come in, and where you can how you can build that rapport leading towards a conversion, a sale. Any questions? So are we going to have a Facebook post soon? You mentioned in the future. Yeah, I think there is a way that I can get that in pretty quickly, and it may not be the final solution, but it's good, and that will probably be level 3. I think people have got to show they're serious about things. 3 members get a limited autoresponder and a lot of training that they would pay thousands of dollars for in many instances. I know the training in our free members areas is better than I've seen at like $5,000. 1 members get hosting and autoresponder, and there's going to be more training and stuff in there, and there are downloads of free products every month, lots of things for $7, amazing value. I intend to increase the value in all levels, especially in the first level, to make it ridiculous for anybody. In fact, I believe now it's ridiculous for anybody to turn it down, but people do, and people come in and they don't understand what they've got and they leave. I'm working on ways to clarify what's available and how to make it more obvious and accessible. And I'll be building value in each of the different levels. Level 5 membership is $157 a month, but you can make $155 on a sale. You only want to make 1 sale and you got it for $2 essentially. The autoresponder there is worth, I mean, I pay to one autoresponder company about $800 a month because I've got a pretty big list with them, because they charge for lists. Now, even if you've only got a list of 20,000, you would be paying more than $157 just for the autoresponder. So there is amazing value, but I will be adding at every level, and it will be stepped up in every level. It just takes time for me to get around to doing it all. and putting it all in place and getting the programmers to do things the way I want them done, because I can't do things. I have no knowledge whatsoever of how to do PHP, HTML, or any other string of letters that people throw at you say that you need to know that. No idea. I've been online for over 15 years and I still have no idea. I can build a simple website using WordPress or something like that. That doesn't take very long to learn, and it's pretty simple. If you can use a word processor, then you can do that. But beyond that, no. You don't need technical ability. You don't need all that stuff. I've got you can get the next week's, you can register in the chat at the top there. It will, of course, be available pretty soon on sawwp.com/RMM, so that you can register for next week's. And next week's I'll be going into more detail and hopefully maybe be able to reveal some of the details of the new turnkey program. We'll see. Okay. No questions? Joseph says, will there be a replay? Yes, there is a replay. It will be, if you're on the email list, which you should be, you should automatically get an email telling you about the replay. And there is a space in the back office where they can be posted, but once again, I've not done it. My apologies, but you should get an email about it. Okay, no more questions? That's it then. I'll bid you adieu. Thanks for all being here. I hope you read the book. It's a great book, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And just stick with it. Don't allow a grain of sand in your sandal. Don't allow that wedge of doubt anywhere near you. Okay? Just do it. God bless.